Pixel People Pod. Zap, 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 it's on. Rewind the future fraud. The Pixel People Pod.
Hey, welcome back to the Pixel People Pod. It's Greg, and say hello, Jan.
Hello, Jan.
Where's Chris? Oh, he'll be on later because this is a special episode we're doing this week. Guess what? We're not having this week. Yeah, Jan, don't hit us with that news this week because there's not going to be a Jan's Gnarly News episode.
Instead, we're going to have
Yeah.
Baby, You Can Drive My Car.
Yes. Ooh, if I could afford the rights for that song. I wonder what it costs to license a
Beep,
Beatles
beep,
song
beep, beep,
for
yeah.
a Beatles song for a podcast. Probably too much more than we have.
Right.
So anyway, this week's episode is on our first cars and the cars we wanted. That's the fun part of this episode. So we interviewed many people, 5 to 10 of our friends, and got their first car, the one, your first high school car, the one you dreamed of your whole life.
From the 80s.
Yes. Which the car that you got was probably not the car you dreamed on. So then we asked, what was the car you dreamed about? What is the car you wanted? And we got some interesting stories here. And so here we go.
Vroom, vroom.
So we're talking about our first cars. So we have Todd here. Todd, say hello.
Hello.
Todd's been a friend of mine for 40 years. And
Pretty close.
we were together as friends when we all had our first cars.
Y'all are old.
Yeah, we are old. So,
Oh, well. Things happen that way.
yeah. So let's go to Todd first. Todd, tell everyone what your first car was.
Very first car I had was a Chevy Black Citation.
Yeah, Chevy Citation. Same car that we did
Driver's
Driver's
Ed
Ed in, yeah.
Mhm.
Which I just looked up a picture of,
Yeah,
and I said it was a knockoff Gremlin.
yeah. It's
Yeah,
not
pretty close.
They were kind of, it was kind of But you had that car for a couple months. I remember when you got
maybe
it.
about 5 or 6 months.
Todd's
yeah.
a little older than me, less than a year, but he had his license for the rest of us. So all of us are in a band together. You had the first one that had a car out of all of us.
Oh, yeah. I come to band camp in it, and everybody's
Yeah.
like,
Hey, you got a car.
wait a minute.
We're having to get our parents to pick us up. But that car didn't last long.
No, it
Your
didn't.
second car is the one that I want to talk about.
Okay.
Because we had a friend, Greg Elliott, who I'll tell him, I've got to call him, but he's got to listen to this podcast. He had a Volkswagen Bug, and it was the coolest thing in the world. So the rest of us all wanted Volkswagen Bugs. So Todd, me, and our friend Matt all ended up with Volkswagen Bugs because of Greg.
You're the Buck Club.
Right.
That's
But
right.
Todd was the first one to get one after Greg. Tell him about your Bug.
Well, other than it leaking all the time,
Yeah.
and sometimes it wouldn't crank. There was an incident at my work at Food Lion one time. I used to park at the top of the hill, because at
I've told Jen
the
this story.
parking lot is kind of on a hill there. So I guess I was just not thinking, busy or whatever. I went to work one day and left it parked up there. I got into the store. I remember getting punched in, and there was some old lady and a friend of mine that I can't remember, worked with me, all of a sudden hollered, "There's a car coming down the parking lot. Nobody's in it." And I kind of turn and look out the window, and sure enough, there comes my Bug coming down the hill. And so I run out of the store, and it's coming at a pretty good pace. And so I'm running up to it and then having to turn around to chase it.
Yeah.
And luckily, it wasn't going to any cars, but it was actually heading toward the store.
Yeah.
So I finally, yes, it was locked, so I had to unlock it and get in the stupid thing. But I finally got it stopped, and then I turned around. I got like 15 people staring at me. So yeah, that
Only
wasn't fun.
15?
Yeah, only
I
15.
remember, the thing I remember about your Bug was it looked like it just rolled off the showroom floor.
Yeah, I mean, I kept it
was
real
the
nice.
best
yeah.
looking Volkswagen out of all of ours till you wrecked it that one day and realized that the people that had it before just put like an inch of Bondo in the fenders.
Yep, they
But
hit
it
it
was-
well.
But it was the best Bondo job I've ever seen in my life because that was a cherry paint job on that car. Bright red. It was awesome Volkswagen.
hmm
Just had a lot of issues.
Yeah,
I remember the leaking part was a big deal.
Yeah.
That gave it character.
yeah,
Yeah.
my brother Dale did not like riding in the back seat because it always leaked in the
Yeah.
floorboard.
Yeah.
And something was wrong with the heater. It would not shut off. So during the summer,
Yeah.
I roasted in
My
that
truck
thing.
is like that. My Ranger's stuck in the heat thing and yeah,
Mhm.
it's bad.
Now,
Well,
during the winter, I was fine.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I may not have been in y'all's Bug Club,
Yeah.
but my cousin Sonia that lived beside of me growing up
Yeah.
had a Bug, and that's what I learned to drive a stick shift
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
She took me to this steep hill a couple miles from our
I've
house,
seen it. Yeah.
and yeah, I took Greg down there so he could see this steep hill, and stood in front of it
Oh yeah.
and said, "Okay, Jan, now don't hit me."
Hey, they were fun to drive
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
winter when it snowed.
Yeah. You had the Bug, and I know we all wanted Bugs in, but what car did you really want?
Oh, without a doubt, was a Mustang GT. I even test drove one at the old Paramount
Yeah,
Motors
Yeah.
until I found out it was like 16 grand.
Oh yeah. Remember our friend Brandon had that convertible Mustang GT?
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was an awesome car. Yeah. He had nitrous in it before NOS was cool. Like everybody, before it was called NOS, it's called nitrous, But the Fast and Furious movies made it NOS. Gotta have NOS.
Oh yeah.
He had a tank in his, but he built a compartment in the trunk and hid it, and had the switch like hidden under like the cigarette ashtray in the car. His dad never knew he had it. It's pretty smart. Okay, Jan, what was your first car?
I don't remember the year,
Yeah.
but it was a probably very old
Yeah.
Toyota Tercel hatchback.
Ooh, Tercel.
That was the first car that I actually bought.
Yeah.
Like the first cars that I drove when I got my license was our old family car, like a
Truckster. Family truckster.
a Ford Fairlane
Yeah.
station
Oh,
wagon.
okay.
Okay. Yeah,
It's a station wagon though.
Yeah.
wow.
It was a smaller model station wagon. It was beige. Then when my sister moved away to college in Charlotte, I got to drive her car for a while, which was a nice 70 Chevelle,
Yeah.
Okay.
metallic green with
oh, them lovely green colors.
with green interior, green leather
Wow.
interior.
Wow.
Had an 8-track
You
in
name
it.
it Kermit.
It was a really dark
Yeah,
green.
his old car would have had 8-track in it.
But the guys at school loved that car.
Oh,
They
okay.
all
Oh, yeah.
wanted to drive that. But the car that I actually bought, well, I think mom and dad took out a loan, and then I had to pay them every week till I paid the car off. And it was that Tercel hatchback.
So since I still have my first car, are we gonna find an old Tercel for you to have that we can both have our old first cars?
Well, when I was still 16, I may have just turned 17
Yeah.
in high school. I got off work, was headed home, and a car hit me from
Oh.
the side,
Yeah.
T-boned me, and totaled that one.
Wow.
So I actually found another Tercel.
Oh,
Yeah. I think we paid $750 for that Tercel, and then when I had to replace it, I had to go in debt for $900.
can you
Oh,
imagine
wow.
buying a used car now, a dependable used car for under $1,000 now? It's
it
not
wouldn't
gonna
be
happen.
too dependable. would it?
No, not for under
I paid
$1,000.
my parents back $40 a week
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
for that car
Well.
till I got it paid off.
All right, but okay, you had a Tercel, but what the car you wanted?
I wanted a Rabbit.
Yeah, Volkswagen Rabbit. Yeah,
I wanted a
I want
Rabbit.
one of those now. That's on my bucket list of cars. I want to find like a mid-'80s Rabbit Cabriolet, a convertible
Mhm.
with the roll bar in the center. Just as a cruising car for the summer. I love those cars.
I would like to have had a VW van.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be epic
Yeah.
too.
Now they were supposed to
I'm not.
reintroduce them,
Yeah.
were they not?
Yeah, I'm not counting out that one day me and Jan don't find one of those and buy one. It could happen. It's in solid shape, but
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So yours was a Rabbit, huh?
Right.
Okay. Well, my first car, the one I drove was my mom's '85 Pontiac Parisienne, which is a tank of a car.
I
And,
remember.
yeah, and probably saved my life a couple times in it. But my car, I wanted. There was 2 cars that I thought I could have that I wanted. I was really a fan of was a Mustang or a Volkswagen Bug, and of course I got the Bug because my parents weren't putting up the money for a Mustang. So I had a '69 VW Bug because Greg Elliott again, he had one. Todd had his. I wanted a Bug. We all wanted Bugs. So I sunk a lot of money in that Volkswagen, but I loved that car. My car, it was a good Bug. It had a factory sunroof in it. It's a crank. You cranked it
Yeah.
open and put a loud stereo in it, and I'd load that thing up after school. We'd cruise up to the store. I remember Angela would stand up sometimes, her head out of the sunroof.
Yeah,
All
I
of
remember
us
you
just-
and Matt and
Yeah.
go down to the convenience store
Yeah.
after. Yeah.
So, I mean, that car, I love that car. I still have it. It's sitting 30 years parked. It's going to get restored one day. And when
Got
it
a little
does,
bit of dust on it.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
maybe I'll paint it up with the Pixar Underground colors and use it as a rolling showroom if we ever got really big.
That'll work.
But now, after all that talk and saying I wanted a Mustang, what I really wanted in high school, which I knew I couldn't have, I thought I might have a chance at a Mustang because I know there was, my dad had a friend whose son had a Mustang, and I thought then maybe he'd get it for me. So, but he didn't. I wanted an IROC Z28. I wanted, and I'm not a Chevrolet guy, but I wanted a Camaro Z28 IROC. Those were the coolest cars to me. Like everybody, Todd remembers it. The big car back then in our school was like a Z28.
Oh yeah,
Everybody had that, or
Mhm.
but I was like, no, if you got a
I remember
no,
somebody.
no, what was it? What was that? It's a Mazda Z28. Ain't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Well, that's weird. It's
RX-7.
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 Yeah. RX-7. That's it. There was like a bunch of people had an RX-7s.
I remember somebody we went to school with drove a little Ford Courier pickup truck.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
from
those
the
were cool.
60s.
Yeah.
Remember when everybody used to lower their
Oh
trucks
yeah.
when
That
we
was
were
a-
in high school?
Chad Hone had that one. He still has
Those
it, I
were
think.
Mazda trucks, weren't they?
Yeah, or Nissan.
Nissan.
Nissan or Mazda, yeah.
I laughed at a guy one time. He had a lowrider. He pulled it into one of them little car washes.
Yeah.
He got it stuck on it and he couldn't get it out. They had to
Too
call
low,
a
yeah.
tow truck, and I laughed. I thought that was hilarious.
I thought that was cool back then, but every now and then I've gone to some Volkswagen car shows and some of them are so lowered. It's like, you can't drive that anywhere. You have to avoid parking lots. But it's like, don't go too low. I want to lower mine when it's done. I want to put like maybe a lift kit in it where you can raise or lower it.
It'll
Yeah.
lower when I sit down in
Yeah,
it.
but I do want to drop the front at least where it's even with the back. Volkswagens have the engine in the back so that it sits up, in the front. But I do want to lower it a little bit, but I don't want to drop it like some of these people do now. It's like,
Why
I
do
wanna be able to
these
drive it.
younger kids want these pickup trucks where they raise the front end?
I don't know, but I'll tell you, I hated that, the Carolina squat, they call it,
Yeah.
and I think that's
Isn't
the
that
dumbest.
illegal now?
Yeah,
I think it is.
It is, but my nephew Avery thought it was cool when it was happening, and I was like, that's the ugliest thing in the world. But I stopped myself because it's like, we lowered him to the ground. We did our own stuff to cars, and I know my parents thought that if you see a lowered truck, think that's the dumbest thing in the world. So the squat thing, as dumb as I thought it looked, I backed off. But I'm glad that I don't see him around much anymore. There's still one. Remember we saw a couple months ago, apparently they had a car show at the Hickory Motor Speedway here. It was a truck show, and it was all those trucks
All of
lowered.
them
Like
are
we saw like
lowered. Oh,
5 or
wow.
6 in a row, and I'm like, are we in like bizarre world? Turns out it was a truck show, but they're still doing it. But I think there's a limit.
Oh yeah.
Because it's affecting your headlights and stuff. You can't see
Yeah,
with that.
you're like looking up toward the sky instead of the road.
Yeah.
Okay,
Wow.
Todd, I know Greg had a monster stereo system in
Yeah.
his Volkswagen.
Oh,
Did you have that as well?
I had a pretty good stereo, but the speakers were horrible.
Now I had a loud stereo in my Volkswagen. When I got my CRX in 91, that's where I put the big loud stereo. I put the 12-inch subwoofers in it, the Punch 45 amp, the Alpine tuner. I had everything. That thing would rattle the windows.
Didn't
that's
you
the
do
one-
a special speaker though in the Volkswagen too?
Yeah, I had built in the back compartment. I built my own thing and put them in. And I actually put an old speaker.
Which is why he's half deaf.
Yeah,
Oh.
I actually took a speaker that I
I
found and my uncle
understand.
had and mounted it inside the front of the Volkswagen. That's your trunk actually, and spliced it off to where it would actually sound louder from outside because there's music playing from the trunk.
Oh yeah.
I did that too. I did a bunch of gimmicky stuff like that.
I didn't do anything like that. But
Yeah.
I would try to turn up my radio as loud as it would go.
Yeah, I still do. But I
I would have
need-
been in trouble back then if I had known somebody that could put special speakers in my
Oh, yeah.
car. Here's the difference between being the privileged firstborn child
Uh-huh.
or the secondborn child or the thirdborn child, which is what I was.
Yeah.
So my older brother had a sweet Camaro. It was nice. It was really, I don't know what the year was. Solid white. It was a really nice car.
Yeah.
That my parents bought for him. My sister, like I said, had the 70 Chevelle, brand new
that's
metallic
a
green
nice
paint
car.
job. Had the brand new green leather interior in it. They bought that for her.
Yeah.
So as the third child, when I came along, there was no more money to buy a car.
Oh wow.
So that's why I got stuck with the crappy looking Toyota Tercel
Well,
hatchback.
I just remember my mom and dad saying, we'll give you and your brother both $1,000. If you want a nicer car than $1,000 car, work and put that money toward
Yeah.
it. But we found this Volkswagen for exactly $1,000. So, my brother, he bought my uncle's Ford Ranger 4x4 lifted that he had because he bought a new truck. But Scotty had took that $1,000 plus and worked mowing yards for a year and stuff and used that toward it. So, yeah.
Okay, so his first vehicle was a truck. Huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
He should have kept that truck. It was cool and it would look really cool today, but he sold it. So we want to thank Todd for being for this one live in the studio.
I appreciate being
Yeah,
here.
Todd, our
As
biggest
always.
fan of the podcast.
Come on, Todd.
That's right. Shine on, right?
So Chris, we got you on the line here.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, we're doing this episode on our first cars and the first cars we wanted to have. So in high school, Chris, what was your car?
My very first car that I ever owned was a 1972 Chevy Nova.
Oh, really?
72 was a good
Yep.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was brown, which was puke brown, but it had a 350 V8 in it, and it sounded cool. It was not the prettiest car in the world, but it was my first car, and I thought I was a badass.
Did you save up and put like mag wheels on it and stuff?
No, I didn't do any of that, but I remember like I spent time on like polishing the bumper, and because it had a lot of spot, did all that compounding on it.
I spent
and
a lot of
waxing
time
it and
polishing the
doing-
bumper in high school too.
Yeah, I know, but not that kind. We're not talking about the same thing.
Can I leave now?
But no, you cannot. You're gonna sit there and listen and like it. But no, that was my first car. I remember my mom and dad gave it to me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. What
I had that
car
one
did you
for a-
want? Yeah. Though.
well, I will say I didn't like. What happened is I went and spent the summer with my aunt and uncle who lived in Arizona.
Yeah.
And when I came back, my mom and dad had sold the Chevy Nova.
Oh, well, they sold your car?
Yeah.
Did you
and
know they
got
were doing
me-
that?
No, because then I was happy because they got me a 1982 Honda Civic.
Oh, one of those little Honda Civics?
Yeah.
Those
and I
things
was so
ruled, man.
thrilled.
I love
Yeah,
those
that
cars.
was so happy.
Yeah.
I didn't want another car. That was it. For
But
me,
you gave up all
they-
that power, though, from that Nova to a Honda Civic?
It was just something about that Civic was so cool. And when my mom and dad said, when I got back off the plane, they said, hey, when we get home, we got a surprise for you. I didn't know what was going on. I thought, hey, maybe we're having a party because I'd been gone all summer or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
And I pulled up and my car was gone, but there was this other car sitting there. They didn't put a bow or anything on it, but they had it backed into the driveway.
Yeah.
And they're like, here's your new car. And I'm like, what? And I was so stinking excited.
Well, I'm glad you're excited. 'Cause that would, if my mom and dad sold my car from under me, I'd have been shocked. But what
Well, they
did,
paid for both of them. So they
yeah,
could sell their car, I guess. But
when you had that Nova, though, and you see what everybody else was driving to school, everybody thing, was there one car that you really wish you had had?
probably, I guess a Trans Am
Yeah.
with the eagle on it.
Yeah.
That was always, I think, a cool car.
Jan had
know,
one of
'cause
those. Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah. Do you want
But
to tell
it
that
was-
story real fast, Jan?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Smoking the Bandit, that was
Yeah.
the coolest thing going,
Yeah.
So that was the car I would have always wanted when I was a kid. Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's a cool story. All right. Thank you, Chris.
Hey, you're welcome. Talk to you later.
So we're here with Paul, our friend Paul. Paul is my oldest friend, and not just in age, but we've been friends for 53, going on 54 years.
Yeah. What's
Yep.
up?
So, Paul, as you know, I've told you this episode is on first cars. So tell us your first car. Tell us, as you've told me a little bit beforehand, tell us your first car, but then tell us the car that was really your high school car.
Oh, okay. Well, my dad used to repair cars.
He did?
Yeah, he would. Oh, stop
Yeah, I
it.
know.
So he would paint them. We had a building in the back. He painted cars. I helped him sand them down, primer, and all this other stuff. So he ended up getting his hands on a 1968 Camaro Z28. And had Corvette rallies on it. Her shifter is every dude's car that ever wanted one. I mean, that car was hot. He told me to pick out any color I wanted, and he painted it candy apple red for me. I know.
Nice.
Yeah. So whenever I drive it, like I said, I was only 17 years old, and I would take off in it, and is automatic with a Hurst shifter.
That's fast.
Yeah. So the thing would go no, like that, go into second gear without me even trying. My dad would get so mad at me. And he's like, you're out there dogging that car. I said, no, I'm not. So I said, I hate this car. It's got too much power, blah, blah, blah. My dad said, it ain't got too much power. So he hops in it and he takes off down the road, boiling tires, comes back. He goes, yeah, you're right. It's too much power for you. So what does he do? He turns around and sells it. And then he got me, a 1979 Mercury Zephyr, 2-door.
Zephyr.
It was called the banana boat because it was yellow. It was yellow, just like a banana. It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the car I had until I, wrecked it. But
Yeah. So that's the car you had.
that's the car I had.
Anything interesting happen in that car? This is PG, by the way.
Interesting? No, just
Other
roll.
than the wreck?
Me and some friends just together, get together and go rolling yards in it and some. So that's back when I was a horrible kid. I was really horrible when I was younger. So, but I've grown up since.
They deserve to be toilet papered.
Yeah. You have no idea who all we hit.
Yeah.
No one was safe.
We'll talk about that off air.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to make an episode of Halloween stuff and what we did when we was
Yeah.
kids. Halloween. So,
So right before we recorded this, so Paul said, "Don't tell me the car that you wanted. I wanted to surprise it with you." So and it hit me. Yeah,
I already told you. Already know what it is.
I know it. Paul,
Okay,
there's
it'll be a surprise to me.
Yeah, there's a certain car that Paul has wanted for 30 plus years, and he's talked about it. He's like, "Hey,"
And
even
I
to
don't care what year it is.
Yeah, and wait a minute, I'm gonna write it down right here. So okay,
So I'm gonna see if he's right.
Yeah.
okay, Paul, tell us what the car is that you really wanted.
A Pontiac Fiero.
What did I write down?
Pontiac Fiero.
Yep.
Yes.
He always wanted a Pontiac Fiero.
Man, I've
Why
always
didn't you
wanted.
get one?
Oh, well, see, it was a sports car, and my dad did not want me to have one.
Because of the
Sports car, but
Camaro
a
Fiasco.
and
sports
it's made
car-
out of plastic.
Sports car,
Yeah.
but then when you go buy your first car, you get like a Nissan 280Z that hauled ass all up and down the road.
It's a Nissan 240.
Well, whatever, but that
92
It was
model.
really
No,
fast.
93.
Really fast.
That car would friggin' fly.
Didn't it have like a V6 in it or something? It was
No,
fast.
it's just a 4-cylinder.
It was really fast.
Yeah, 240 means 2.4 liter
Yeah,
4-cylinder.
he scared me many times in that car. It was really fast.
So yeah, I always wanted. I don't care if it's a 2M4. I don't care if it's a GT. I just really wanted a Fiero. God, I wanted one.
Yeah.
I've gotten to drive them and gotten to ride in them. One of my friends had a GT. God, that car was
You
awesome.
still see a lot of old like cars from the 80s and 90s on the road and stuff made people fixed up or just junkers they've had. You rarely see a Fiero on the road.
Oh, when you do see them for sale, just like there's a company in Charlotte that actually fixes up the older cars and sells them.
Yeah.
The last one I saw for sale, it was $28,000.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. So
Would you still get one?
Yes, I want one.
I want
Except, I would like. My whole dream is if I had. Do you know who? Oh, sorry, didn't mean to touch the table. So, do you know the company that's on the History Channel? It's a company out in Las Vegas where
it's the Counts Customs.
Counts
probably.
Customs.
Yeah.
I would totally say, hey, here's $50,000.
Well, that's not what my plan is in the next 5-10 years of my Volkswagen is I'm going to take it to a car restore and say, here's where I live. Come pick it up on a flatbed. Here is like 20 grand. Call me when it's complete. This is what I want it to look like. This is the
You know
color.
who-
This,
You know, those guys out on Highway 10 does that.
yeah, I know, but I'm going to find somebody like that I trust, and it's going to be, and when it comes back, I already decided it's going to be bright yellow and white two-tone.
Well, my whole dream is to get like $50,000 to him. Say, I have a $50,000 budget. I want you to get me a Fiero GT. I want it to look like it's factory, except
Yeah.
some of, I want it to look factory,
Yeah.
but I want it to be tricked out with modern conveniences. I want the the lane keep assist. I want the
Oh,
touch
yeah.
screen in it. I
I was
want
going to say that's what I want my Volkswagen, but
I want lane keep assist. I want the touch screen in it. I want all that Apple CarPlay in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my modern
I
stuff.
want
in my
all the
Volkswagen's
modern
like-
conveniences of today's cars.
I just want comfortable seats in the Volkswagen. I don't care about the modern brakes and all that. I want it like just a
Well,
bug, but with comfortable seats and a touch screen radio.
well, what was it? June 23rd, 1990?
89.
89.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we have
almost
a
died.
we almost died in his
We-
Volkswagen
I
Beetle.
think I told
Yeah, I
that
heard that
story on
story.
the podcast.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah, I told that story, Paul, on the podcast. If you go back and listen to some old episodes, you
Yeah,
are
Paul.
mentioned several times in that whole story about us almost dying.
You should say
Go and
at
see-
Paul INHKY so you can tag me in
Yeah.
these.
So, and also, Paul, if you look over there on the wall, what's on the wall lit up over there on the wall?
It's the bat symbol.
Yeah,
Yeah.
from the 89 Batman. Yeah, so that's...
Yeah, we ate it. It was my birthday,
Yeah.
June 23rd. It's the day that Batman came out, and we went and ate at Hardee's. That's where I was working at.
Yeah, I told that
For
story.
my birthday,
You
we
ate
ate at Hardee's.
the place you worked at
Yes.
for your
Yeah,
birthday.
but we could eat cheap there, Jan.
Yeah, we could eat. I got there. I don't think they even charge us for a meal.
not.
I don't
They
think they
shouldn't
did.
have on your birthday.
Yeah.
So yeah, me and we both ate there for free, and then we went to the movies. He paid my way into the movies.
Yeah, I don't
and we
know
went
if
and
I've
saw
mentioned
it.
on this podcast, but I think the statute of limitations ran out. But me and Matt, who we were just talking about earlier, our friend Matt,
Yeah.
would go over to Hardee's in Mountain View, and I get my combo meal, and Matt would get his, and Paul would ring him up for a price of a cookie. And then we would eat for like 80 cents.
80
Then we'd go to the
cents.
mall and have our friend that ran the arcade give us $10 for the tokens for free, and we'd just play. So,
Meanwhile, full circle moment here, back in the late 80s,
yeah,
I would go to a store in Bellwood where Matt's friend Tim worked,
yeah.
and Tim would ring up all of our stuff for $1. It'd have drinks, cakes,
Yeah.
and chips
If
and
any
all this
teenager
stuff.
listening right now, don't do that, you dirty thieves. That's wrong.
Don't
As an adult now, I'm like, oh man,
don't do as we do.
Yeah,
do as
yeah,
we say.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, I don't. If it was a bunch of friends coming through and I'd recognize their voices and drive through or something, I always sneak like some pies and cookies down in there or whatever. And so, what was your car you wanted?
back then
Yeah.
was an IROC Z28. I wanted
What model? What year?
mid '80s Camaro IROC Z28.
About 84, 85.
Yeah, 84, 85, yeah.
Yeah.
Those were so awesome cars. You know, tell you what was the bad, I've not told this on the other people we've talked to about this, but the thing that really hooked me on those cars were they were some of the first cars you would see that had their own custom mag wheels on it, like from the factory.
Oh yeah.
They had cool wheels, not hubcaps or anything like that. The wheels on those things were cool, you know, and they were like, that's what sold it on it.
And the motors, I mean, the stock 305s or the 350s, they would, burn rubber. I mean,
Yeah. And then I rode in one when I went to Rose's. When I was working at Rose's, we had to take a bank deposit. And my friend Betty that worked there, which you met at the Chinese buffet a couple months ago, her fiance then, who she's married to now, he had one, and she drove it all the time. And I got to ride in it and had a huge dash on it. I remember that. Like,
Oh,
but
God,
it was
they're
so
humongous,
the
yeah.
inside was really cool. And to this day, it'd be if I won the lottery, there'd be a couple cars I would buy and stash. And if I could find a cherry one of those, I'd have one.
One of those would kill your knees, though.
I wouldn't
They're
drive
so
it every
low
day,
to the
though. I
ground.
wouldn't drive it every day.
Yeah, those were my brother had a Z28.
And if I won the lottery, I'd buy you a custom Fiero.
Man, don't
And
tease me
buy
like
Jan a
that.
sweet Toyota Tercel. That was
So
her
is that
first
what
car.
you
A
wanted, the
rabbit.
Tercet?
I wanted a
was it?
rabbit.
You wanted a rabbit? What
Yeah.
year?
She
I
wants a
didn't care.
mid-'80s Volkswagen Rabbit, like a, you know.
I didn't care what year.
If you're going to do
Yeah.
a rabbit, do a GTI.
We're
Any
talking
rabbit
about,
would do.
she's talking about 80s rabbits, so.
Well,
you
there's
know.
GTIs existed.
See,
back
and that's
then.
one of my dream cars is I would like to have a Cabriolet Rabbit convertible with the roll cage in the center, and just for like a summer car, and just leave the top down. You just jump over the seat and get in it, and speed off. You know, I love those cars.
Now, do you remember whenever you remember Sherry and Brian?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember her blue Dodge Omni that
Yeah,
she drove?
yeah, she
Do
drove
you
it.
know that they modeled that after the Volkswagen Rabbit?
It wouldn't shock me. They looked alike. They were
They
very
did.
square and looked alike.
They
yeah.
they modeled exactly Dodge.
And it was a Dodge Omni.
Dodge,
Omni,
Dodge
and
Omni.
they-
Look that up.
They do look like a Volkswagen Rabbit, Jan. They're just not quite as square, but they
Yeah,
are.
so they really went after the Volkswagen market with the Dodge Omni, and they killed it. There's Dodge Omnis everywhere. There's like
I
they
saw a Rabbit truck go by us the other day, and you don't see
Dude, I
those
saw
very
one
often.
yesterday too.
Probably, I saw it down here. It's probably the
It's
same
white, the
one.
white
Yeah,
one.
It's probably the same one.
Yeah, it's the white one. I saw that too.
So anyway.
Really caught my attention. It's, oh, God, I love cars.
Yeah. Well, Paul, we'll talk to you later.
Alrighty, I'll talk to you later.
All right. And next we're going to have Wes, a friend of mine from high school, Burns High School, class of 91. Go Dogs.
You know, Fred Ford Tigers, but they're all right.
Hey, we had the same colors as y'all.
Yeah,
though.
yeah, same colors, and y'all were definitely better in football than we were.
Oh, a lot better.
Yeah. So anyway, the topic, you know, of course, as we're going is your first car, and we're talking to 80s children of the 80s on their first car. It's a two-parter, but the first one is what was your first car, and then after we discuss that, we're gonna go to what was the car you wanted. And so
Okay.
we both, like my first car, which we said was a Volkswagen Bug. I wanted an IROC Z28. Jan's was a Toyota Tercel. What is it you wanted, Jan?
Rabbit. Do you remember that Chevelle that I used to drive to school when I first got my license? That green Chevelle, green metallic.
Maybe.
Because all the guys used to ask me to drive that thing.
I don't know. Maybe because I know Gail Wisnett, she had a 67 Nova that she built
Yep.
from the ground up.
Yep. She was like a
I
race car
don't-
driver
Oh,
or
really?
something. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a dragster now and she's a principal. So
Yeah. Pretty crazy.
All right. What was your first car, Wes?
my first car was a 1987 Honda XL 5-speed.
Oh,
Oh yeah, I guess I bought it off of a used car lot. My friend that I went to school with, David Ross, it was his dad's car lot in Waco, Ross's Cars. And I couldn't drive it at first because I didn't have my license. And my dad wouldn't let me, he wouldn't let me drive it. So this is how I learned how to drive a stick shift, was in the driveway. He would let me crank it and drive it up the driveway, and then I could back it up
yeah.
until I got my license. And that's how I learned how to drive a stick shift.
Hey, it worked, right?
It did. And
Yeah.
my friend, it used to make me so mad because my friend David, he would drive us to work in it. And so, you know, he always got to drive it at first. And I'd be so mad. Let me drive it. Let me drive it.
How awful would that be
no.
that you couldn't drive your own car
Yeah.
when you first got it?
I couldn't. My Volkswagen, I had to fix it up a little bit, and it sit there, and I could drive it in the driveway, but I couldn't Still had to jump in my mom's car and drive anywhere. That was frustrating because, I had to get it up and ready to roll. So, yeah,
Oh yeah.
it's very frustrating.
Did you do anything
But-
special to your car?
No, because I just had a little meaningful job. At that time I was at Food Line. I'd worked Food Line for a year, and I was there, and it was $4.35 an hour.
Yeah.
And so, it was I was just happy to have a car, and so I tried to keep it clean and neat. That first car, but there wasn't nothing special about it.
So you didn't immediately like slap a system in it, put an Alpine or a Super Tuner in it?
No.
That's the first thing I
That
did.
wasn't that was my second vehicle
Yeah.
that I did that to.
Yeah.
I had a 91 Mitzi Mighty Max, and I lowered it.
Yeah.
And nothing system in it.
See, I had a decent radio in my Volkswagen, but my second one, at 91, I bought a Honda, and I immediately put a Alpine in it with a equalizer and loaded up with speakers and put a speaker box in the back and punched 45 amp. I put a system in that car. That's why I'm partially deaf now.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Well, it happens. We were young and
Hell yeah, yeah.
we didn't know any better.
Did
But no,
anything
I
crazy
really
ever
like
happen
that
in that
car.
car? And remember, this is a PG show.
yeah.
Oh no, nothing like that, because I didn't start dating until years later. So
Yeah.
But you didn't have any
Uh,
accidents in it or anything wild like that.
no, it wouldn't go fast, so you couldn't really do much in it. I mean, I was nervous because I was I just got my license, and I was on my mom's insurance, and I was not trying to get a ticket or do anything like that to get them fussing at me and take it away.
You were a way better kid than I was back then, because once I got my
Now-
license, I didn't care that my mom was paying my insurance.
Now my second vehicle, which I had in my own insurance and everything, I had speeding tickets and everything
Yeah,
else. So
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
different story when you're paying for it
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
yeah, so
All right. Well, that was your first car, but Jan says you have a good story about what car you wanted.
I always wanted a Lamborghini Countach.
Well, yeah. You were a kid in the 80s, yeah. I had a poster of
Yes.
those on my wall in my room. I had a
That's why I wanted one. I wanted the car because I was like, if I have that car, I'll have that woman that's on
Yeah.
the poster with that car.
yeah.
How'd that work out
so,
for you?
Not too good.
Would you still like to have a Lamborghini Countach?
No, good Lord, I could never get my old
Yeah.
big butt in one of those. I don't even know how I would have got in it as a kid.
Yeah,
I was a hefty boy.
Jan had a backup car. Was her secondary car, her Kia. Was it Kia Rio?
Yeah.
And we drive it just to keep miles off the other cars. And getting into it now,
Oh,
it sits
it's
so
so
low to the
low.
ground. It's fun to drive because it'll really handle it.
It
You know,
kills my 53-year-old
Yeah.
knees.
But getting in that car now is like you almost have to fall into it.
Well, I probably what changed my mind later was because I rode with a friend of mine from Burns, and he had a Honda CRX maybe.
Yeah,
at the
that's what I
time.
had. Yeah, yeah, they're sit really low.
And-
Yeah,
And I was a big boy. I was big. You could ask Jen. I
Yeah.
was really big
well, I was too. I
and
still am.
and tall.
Yeah.
And tall. So my head, he actually had to open his sunroof so I could stick my head through it.
Yeah, those were small cars, but they, my one I got new in '91. When I got rid of it in like 2008, it was 45 miles a gallon. And I drove it like a race car. That car was fun to drive, and they were fun. But they sit. You're right. They sit really, really low.
Yeah. So because then I was like, man, I never would have gotten a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
And then it's really funny is I was watching YouTube the other day, and there was a commercial in there. This guy had bought his dream car, and it was a Lamborghini, and he was like 6'7", and he had to take the top off it and was driving it down the road that way.
I know Sammy Hagar has got a Ferrari. There's like $1.5 million he paid for it, brand new. They custom built them, and only like a couple hundred of them made. He just sold it the other year, but it was built to his specific. They had to like measure him for the seats in it and stuff. So
That's crazy.
yeah, those
Well, if
cars.
you got the money, you can do what
Oh
you
yeah,
need.
yeah. He actually sold it because he said it was too dangerous. At his age, he goes, I can't. You have to have a certain amount of skill and alertness about you to drive these cars, and I'm too old. And
Right.
So yeah, but that
But he's
was
not too old to rock.
Yeah, but you got to admit
That's true.
it would be fun to drive one at least once. So crams into it. and
Yes.
stuff. Yeah.
Probably would. Probably end up killing myself.
Yeah.
So.
That was what the girls were driving in Cannonball Run. Pretty sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Oh yeah.
It was red.
Yep. That was everybody wanted one of those. I had a calendar back then that was fancy cars. Somebody
Right.
got for me as a kid, and when the year was out, I just cut them all out and stuck them on my wall.
Yep. There's your automatic posters.
Yeah, yeah. And you wanted a Ferrari. Back then, Ferraris were cool too because Magnum PI drove one. You know?
Yeah. Never wanted one of them.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember an old show called Hardcastle McCormick.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I like that car in that one. I like that one.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to look
I don't
that
remember
up.
what it was.
I remember
but
the show, but I don't remember the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, you're the first one that's actually said what they wanted that they knew they probably couldn't want to get. Like mine was an IROC Z28, and even though I knew I couldn't get it, you never know. My dad.
I remember when them were popular too. I mean, everybody had one.
Yeah, I still bring that up to my dad. It ain't been that long ago. I joked to him. Jan might remember. We joked on a Sunday lunch about it because I was in the hospital for like 10 days back my freshman year in high school because they misdiagnosed me. They took my appendix out, and I got double pneumonia, and it turns out I had a kidney stone, but they thought I had an inflamed appendix, and I got really bad for like a week in the hospital. And I told Dad years later, I said, man, I wanted an IROC so bad. I said, and you and Mom are the kind of people that won't sue. I said, but if you just sued for like 20 grand, I could have had my IROC Z28 back then. My mom's a nurse. Yeah, my mom's a nurse. We're not suing for, something like that. But I was like, I could have had my IROC.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So thanks for telling your story because this is going to be an interesting podcast when it comes out. I'm going to edit a lot of stuff in here and put different people in it. And that's going to be good. Tell all your friends so we'll get more listeners. So one day we'll make some money at this.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I guess I'll see you at the grocery store next week.
yeah.
All right. I'll be there.
All right. See you, Wes. All right. Up next, we have my cousin Sonia talking about her first car.
Hello, Sonia.
Hey.
All right,
cousin
Sonia.
Sonia.
What was your first car?
All right. It was for sale up at Carl Smith's, across from Jan's.
In Falston.
It's a
Yeah. North Carolina.
a little cream-colored pickup, Toyota 1970 something. I eyeballed that thing forever.
Here's what's crazy, Sonia. I do not remember that truck. I only remember the Volkswagen you had.
Oh, that was the second one. That was after that one got totaled.
All right. Tell us how you wrecked that truck.
After several tries to total it, along the way, I let my best friend, Puff.
Shout
drive
out
it
to
because
Puff.
Yes. She will never forget this. She has a scar to prove it.
There's a lot of
she was
things
in
that
a-
Puff won't forget.
She's got a better brain than I do.
Don't want to know how she got the name Puff.
Her real name is
HR Puff and
Misty.
stuff.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Well, they got in a fight, and she wouldn't be quiet about it, wanting to go over there because he wouldn't come see her. And, we didn't have cell phones. So I let her drive like an idiot, and it took forever for her to ever get back. In fact, she never did. And I saw, how you pace back and forth. You don't have a way of getting in touch with anybody. And
Yeah,
we
no
kept
cell
going, looking
phones.
out the door. Right. Go look out the door, come back. Go look out the door, come back. She wasn't ever coming back. So I saw these lights flashing over the hill like something big, a fire or something.
Oh.
So I go run. Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
I go running, and I meet her along the way with her mama, and she's got blood all over her. Her mama just about shot her when she walked up in her yard because she didn't recognize her, but she knew there was an accident over the hill. And we ran up there to the thing. She had flipped it on its side in the field. Remember when the road was dirt?
Yes, I do.
And she had never driven before. It had those ridges on it, red mud ridges.
Yep. I was so glad when that road got paved.
Oh my gosh, yes, me too.
Anything else crazy happened in that truck? And remember, we're a PG show.
Oh, I did want to say that, she climbed out of the truck when she turned it on its side, and then she realized that it was still running, and she had to climb back into the truck to turn it off.
You're the third person that we spoke to on this podcast that their first car was destroyed in a wreck. So
I'm not the first person?
no, you're the third. You're the third one actually.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Mine was
Well, I'm
destroyed
not
in a wreck. Are we
surprised.
counting that one?
Oh yeah, I forgot. Jan's was too. That's 4.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm the only one. I still have my first car, so I'm the only one
Oh.
that still has their first car. I
Were
don't
you
know.
not any fun?
No. Jan says she wouldn't have dated me in high school. She knows that. I was not any fun. So
Well, I think not having wrecked your car
yeah.
proves it a little bit.
He
But-
only wrecked his eardrums.
Yeah, I reckon. Yeah, but my first car was a Volkswagen, so you know how hard it. You can't like speed crazy and wreck a Volkswagen.
Oh, true.
Yep.
Sonia, do you remember the time when after you got rid of this Tacoma and got the Volkswagen that you tried to teach me how to drive stick shift in your...
Oh my gosh, yes. I do. I'll never forget it because I'm glad I still have legs.
I know. You stood right in front of me. Now don't run over me, Jan.
I said, you can do it. I trust you 100%. And I stood behind there with my legs just a couple inches from the back bumper on that hill and said, all right, you do it. Go. Let that clutch out.
Hey, it worked. I learned.
Yeah,
I
first
actually-
time.
Do you remember growing up, that hill just seemed so huge? I mean, it seemed like the biggest hill in Cleveland County. So last
Yep,
year,
that's why we went there.
last year, I took Greg down that hill, and I've probably not been down that road since I was a teenager. And I was shocked at how small of a hill it is. In my teenage mind, it was massive.
Well, yeah, if you don't know how to drive a stick and you're on a hill like that.
But in my adult mind, it was really a lot smaller than I thought it was. But it
Oh,
worked.
my gosh.
It worked.
So
Well, we used that to our advantage. So you were scared enough that you were going to hurt me, that you took off.
So this is a two-parter. The first one was, what was your first car? And the second one is, what was the car you wanted?
But wait a minute.
Wait a
I
minute,
think she
okay.
has another story.
Yeah, okay.
Did you get any
What?
tickets in that?
Yes, I did. I was remember cruising the mall?
Oh, yes.
God, those were the days. That was, I was 16. I was cruising the mall, got my, you know how they say don't cut across the parking lot? You know,
Yeah.
even though there's no cars there?
Yep.
Well, I did anyway. My tires squalled and here come the police.
You got pulled for
Hey,
that? I've done that. I've
yeah,
done that
yeah,
a million times, and I know it's illegal, but it's like nobody's gonna pull us for that. And you got pulled for it. That's funny.
Yeah, everybody was cruising. I guess I was having to be an example.
Yeah, cruising.
others,
They do abuse the teenagers when it comes to cruising. Which,
Yeah.
and I was a kid. That's all we did too. And I was like, come on, pigs, lay off. You're like, let us cruise, man. That's all we got to do. And now you're an adult. And like in Hickory, Janice, I'll be like on a Friday night somewhere, and people flying up and down Highway 70. It's like, they need to arrest them kids. They're driving crazy and reckless. And we're the old man.
We've turned
old
into
woman
get
now.
off my lawn people.
Yeah,
But they don't know how to drive.
Yeah.
They don't know how to drive.
yeah. They don't. Our generation did. They don't.
Yeah,
know
we
that.
did.
Yeah,
That's exactly right.
yeah. When
We're
we
fearless.
cruised, do you remember though when people our age cruised back then though? It was about showing off your car, but it was also like
And your music.
in your music.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's all about cruising about how fast you can go and how fast your car is.
Yep.
Those Fast and the Furious movies have ruined it for kids.
They don't know how to drive. They shouldn't be exposed to that kind of
If-
freedom.
If this was a video podcast, see me shaking my fist at the clouds like, stupid kids.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah.
All right, Sonia.
They're so dependent on digitality now, you
Yeah.
know.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
So now tell us,
My kids-
what was your
Oh, go ahead.
dream car in the 80s?
yeah.
Oh, you know what it was. It was that 1960, well, it's somewhere between 67 and 1969 Camaro, Chevy Camaro. I wanted a red one, candy apple red with the two white stripes down the center and that little tail fin in the back. It was beautiful. I was in love with it. I dreamed about it. And I also dreamed about all the men with mullets that I saw driving it on the street.
Yeah. Do you still
And those
dream
jean
about
jackets.
those men in mullets? So driving.
You mean nightmares?
Yeah.
Woo.
I'm trying to talk Greg into getting a mullet.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, no. She said that the
It's
other day. I
really
don't think she
cool.
realized because my hair's long now, And Jan was like, "Have you thought about just cutting the front?" And then I said, "That's a mullet, Jan. You don't do that." I'm not doing that.
Well, he was complaining about it being his eyes.
Yeah, at night when I wake up, it's in my eyes, and I'm not. I said, "How do you women?" I mean, I've had long hair for years, but it's longer in the front now than it's usually been. And at night, it gets in my face, and I'm like, "Oh!" And I asked Jen how you women dealt with it. She was like, "Just cut it, cut the front, and leave it long in the back." I'm like, no. So,
The mullet was a necessity halfway
Yeah.
between hairy men in the 70s and short haircuts, you know?
Yeah. Well, you know what they call that haircut? The business in the front, party in the back.
Yep.
I'll not have a comment on that one.
Well, thank you, Sonia.
Yeah.
And hopefully in a future
Okay.
episode, we want to incorporate Sonia and her job at the video store in the 80s.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
She's
Yeah,
got
we
some
wanna-
stories to
Yeah,
tell.
we want to talk about that. So
There was you know, there was all the media then was great.
Yeah.
You know, the cassettes and records and all
Oh, yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
the sound shop at the mall and Frontier Video in Boston. People come out of the hills to rent some video.
Kids today don't know how hard we had to work to see movies or listen to music back
Yeah.
in the 80s.
Oh my gosh, we had to wash cars just to get the money to get in.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
I can't pay my family to wash my car down.
We'll save all
Nobody
that for
needs
another
money.
episode.
Yeah.
So thank you,
oh,
Sonia.
Well, you're very welcome. Gen Z rules.
All right.
So we're with our friend Jeff Truitt. Jeff, say hello.
Hello.
So as you know, Jeff, I told you it's about your first car and the first car you wanted to have. So tell us the first car that you had as your first car.
My first car was a 1978 black CJ7 Jeep, soft top,
Yep, I remember.
Fancy.
I remember that.
chrome
and
wheels and
I
chrome
bet
bumpers.
you wish you still had it, right?
Most certainly do.
Yep. I remember that one. That would be a sweet car to have now. When did you get rid of it, by the way?
I got rid of that thing, I think when I went in the Navy and I came home it because it wasn't very practical to drive
Yeah.
to Virginia and back. So
Yeah. So yeah. So that was God, man. A lot of kids these days love to have a Jeep like that for their first car. So
most certainly.
I can't
most
afford
certainly.
it now, though.
Did anything crazy happen in that car? And remember, we're PG.
Yeah, I crashed that thing several times. One summer we went to summer school at St. Stephen's. That was me, Sarah Barger, Amy Bean, Shannon Faust, and Steve DuBois were all in that Jeep. Steve was in the back behind the seat in the tailgates, crammed in there, and we were coming down that big hill that goes to Tate Boulevard, where you go up to LR Boulevard, and I was chasing Todd Ward and Neil Dellinger, and we went across that road over Tate Boulevard and down that curvy road and kind of bounced off the road, and it didn't have power steering, so when it hit the ground, the wheels had turned, and we went off down left in the woods.
Oh, wow.
And it bent the frame, and the whole hood was mashed up. It had dimples in the sides of it, and poor Shannon Faust busted her head open above her eye, and ambulance had to take her, and it was horrible. So, but luckily nobody got hurt bad, but I still feel bad about it.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the first good story you've had about anything that's. Since we have to keep PG, there's not any like we can't get really good about what happened in the car.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of good stuff happened in that car or your Jeep that we can't talk about on a PG show.
No, I don't think so. I was,
We'll do the pod
never did
after
stuff
dark
like
later. We'll go back and talk about
that.
that. So yeah, but what car? Okay, it might have been a car you wanted, but like mine was, I had a Volkswagen. I wanted an IROC Z28.
Oh,
And
yeah.
You had a
Oh, yeah.
Jeep, which probably everybody really wanted. But what was the car you you wanted then?
I think it was a Jeep. That's what I wanted. It was my buddy Brett Rudisell, who was older. And I
Yeah.
rode around in that thing for several years before I was old enough to drive. And he offered it up to me, so my dad bought it from him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. And
See, you're the first one that's actually had the car they wanted, which I wanted a Volkswagen, but, because I loved Bugs then and I wanted one, but it was like, I would really rather be driving an IROC Z28 Camaro.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody would back then. People loved those. But, you're the first one that's actually said the car you had is the one you wanted. So that's pretty cool.
I wasn't really a car person, so it was just, I just thought it was cool. And
Yeah.
I liked it. And,
Yeah. And your car is also the one, out of all the ones that we named, although they're still making Volkswagens, not quite the same, but out of all the cars, I think that people's had their first cars, your Jeep is the first one that's probably still being made,
Wow.
that we spoke to so far.
Did you own any Jeeps after that Jeep?
Yeah, I did. I owned, I think, 2 or 3 other ones, but they were nowhere like that one.
Yeah.
Like a 70s Jeep. They were all 90s stuff.
When you see those
Junk.
70s and early 80s ones now, the front grills and everything, you see them like that's an older one. The grills are so much cooler on those.
Yeah, there was nothing to it. It's just a motor, a transmission,
Yeah.
3-speed, and, that was it.
I would
No
love to have like an
electronics.
old Army Jeep just to drive around the farm here. That would be so cool.
Yeah.
Go to the
Yeah,
creek.
Awesome.
They probably weren't worth a whole lot back in the day till the last 10, 15 years, and now anything Jeep, so dadgum expensive now.
Oh, yeah, especially those old Jeeps, those old Willys.
Oh, yeah.
They're really, really expensive. Even the one that I had, a friend of mine, her dad has one the same year, same color, has the same Levi Strauss denim package in it. The
Oh, yeah.
seats were like a plastic denim pattern,
Yeah, that's
Levi's.
cool.
And they've got it, but it's valued like about $25,000 or
Yeah,
something. And
yeah.
I think I paid $3,000 for mine when I
Oh,
bought
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And to think it was a '78, it was only I got my license in '87. I wasn't even 10 years old yet. And, yeah.
Back
a lot
then,
of fun.
back in our days, you could get an affordable used car. You can't now.
Oh yeah.
No, you can't now.
Yeah,
Those days are long gone.
yeah. All right, Jeff. Well, thanks for letting us. That's a good one.
Yeah,
So,
man. I appreciate
First
it. Yeah.
Jeep. So, yeah.
Right on, brother.
All right.
Keep on keeping on.
So we got our friend Brad Hass. As I've told you, we're talking about our first cars, as you know, and the cars we wanted. So tell us your first car, and then I know you have your second car. We want to hear that too.
Yeah, so my first car was a 1984 Ford Escort. It was kind of a blue, light gray color. It was actually hard to tell. It's almost white. And I got it on the day of my 16th birthday. So I went and got my license in the morning. My dad took me to get my license, and then that night I had to go to work, and so I didn't have a car yet or anything. So I drove to work, or my mom dropped me off from work, and then my dad came and picked me up.
Yeah.
So I was like, didn't know if I was getting a car. Nobody had mentioned anything about a car. We had looked at some cars before, but it wasn't a guaranteed thing. So as we were coming home from work, I was kind of like, is there going to be a Trans Am sitting in the driveway? Just your mind goes kind of wild, like with what you're going to get. I'd never seen the car before. I roll into the driveway, and it's like, oh, you got me a car. And I was trying to be enthusiastic about it,
Oh yeah.
But I'm almost sure, like, he could see my face, like, oh, it's a Ford Escort, with 85,000 miles. So I was happy to have a car. I was happy my dad bought it for me. But that was the very first car I had, and I think it lasted maybe 8 months.
As an Escort should last about 8 months.
Well, it had 80-something thousand miles on it, which in the 1980s was like pretty much the end of life for a car, even though the car was technically like three-ish years old. I don't think most cars lasted over 100,000 miles.
That's what I was telling Jan last night. We were talking, and she wasn't she's a girl. She wasn't a car person in the 80s.
Yeah.
And I was like, she didn't really remember it, but I said, as somebody who loved cars back then and stuff, if you got 100,000 miles of a car, you wrung pretty much everything out of it back then. That's what they're pushing. Like, you can get 100,000 miles out of this car. And now, the Japanese cars have pushed that up, So,
yeah, now you get 250,000 miles on a Toyota, and it's like just getting broken in. But back then, like, I think the only cars back then that lasted a really long time, which is kind of the opposite of today, were like Mercedes. Like you could get I remember they used to have a commercial called Million Mile Mercedes. Like, and they had people that had driven their Mercedes Benz like from 1968 to 1985 or whatever, and put 1 million miles on it. But an American car, especially an American car,
Ford or General
done.
Motor, you were like, 100,000 miles.
It was done, and now it's kind of reversed. Like if you get a BMW and you have 80,000 miles, you're a crazy insane person because it's going to be broken down all the time.
So, but tell us your second one then, because that's the one that I remember.
So my Escort was totaled by a CV axle or universal joint or something like that. It was costed more to fix than the car was worth. So my dad actually sold it to somebody else. And I took my own money because I was working at Kroger, and I'd saved up some and bought a 1979 red Mazda RX-7. Yeah. And so, I mean, it sounds old in the 70s, but it was less than 10 years old. So, but I think I think the sticker in it, like I actually in the dash when I bought it, had the window sticker from the car, and it had I think it was like $9,000 brand new.
Yeah.
Back in 1979.
Yeah.
It was like $9,700 or something like that.
Yeah.
But I love that car so much. I mean, I spent my own money, so it's more valuable, to me as buying it with my own money. But I watch that car all the time. I just love that car. And I actually had it for a long time, and I traded it, I think, right before I got married for another RX-7. I got an 81 RX-7 after that. I got a black one. So
the RX-7,
I had 2 RX-7s.
The RX-7 was sort of the it car at Ford before we went to high school. A lot of people had those.
Yeah, it wasn't really fast or anything, but it was sporty,
cool.
And it was two seats, and I sent you a picture of it yesterday.
Yeah.
When I had, I mean, it was exactly like that, and it was just so cool looking. I even think today it looks like a really cool sports car. It's like some cars, like, they don't hold up, but that one actually,
that one does.
Could get into that one holds up pretty good. And it's kind of like a look, even like the RX-7s after that one, when they changed the body style. they look good, and there's, not a lot of cars do that. Like sometimes, some 80s cars, it was all boxy and squared off
Yeah.
and
Most
weird
of them
looking.
were,
And,
yeah.
I mean, but yeah, it was a great car. I mean, that was, like I say, I have fond memories of both cars.
You know
I mean,
what's-
just having something to drive was great.
When Jan and I were going to town Friday, I was like, all right, let's play a game. Find the 80s cars, if there are still any out. And it took us, when we got close to Hickory, I think we saw like 5 or 6, but they were all sitting, somewhere. And you would see like, oh, there's an old Caprice or something like that. But you don't see, there was a couple of lowrider trucks down near Bannock School on our way that these guys are sitting in their yard for 20 years.
What people restore nowadays are like square body Chevys and Ford pickup trucks from
Yeah.
the 80s. Like,
Yeah.
the square bodies,
Yeah.
those go for like 40 grand right now. Like
Oh,
I was
yeah.
looking online, and they kind of don't even restore them to like new condition. They do that patina thing where they just
I'm
put
not
clear
a fan.
coat.
I hate that.
I'm not a fan of that on
Put clear coat
vehicles.
over it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's okay as long as the whole thing's not rusted.
Yeah.
If you just want to
well,
like,
that's the
know,
problem.
but-
That's the problem. Everybody now. I went to a Volkswagen car show like 4 or 5 years ago with my buddy Matt, and I didn't know of the patina movement then. And I hadn't been to a Volkswagen car show in like 20 years. And we're going through it, and I'm like, what is this? What is up with these guys? They're not even painting their cars. I'm like, oh, that's the end. Look, man, it's called patina. I'm like, that's called being lazy and not painting your car. But the ones where you can tell where they've clear coated it and it works, that's one thing.
yeah.
But then everybody and their mother now is just using that excuse to pull up with one that they've not bothered doing any body work, and it's all rusted out, and it's like, here it is, patina. I'm like, no, that's you being lazy, not fixing rust.
If your hood is totally brown and you just put clear coat over it,
Yeah.
then that's kind of ugly.
That's-
But if you have like an old pickup truck that's got some dings with a little bit of rust on it here and there,
Yeah,
and
it
you
works.
just paint it, that works because it's still an old pickup truck that you can use as an old pickup truck. But I know there's people that spend $3,000 or $4,000 on clear coat on a car that make it look
Yeah.
like it's never been painted.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But yeah, the cars I see on the road that's 80s, like I see a few Corvettes every now and then,
Yeah.
like 84-ish Corvettes. There's a guy at my gym that actually drives the 84 or 85 Corvette. And then I see a few, like I see some Volkswagens and things like that.
Yeah, I see the Fox body Mustangs. I see some of them every now and then.
Yeah, every once in a while you get something like that. You see a couple Camaros every now and then, like a Z28 kind of Camaros.
Yeah, but they're all beat up. Yeah.
I mean, I actually see more 70s Camaros than I do
Oh,
80s
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Camaros,
yeah.
So, I think it's a moving target. Like you'll see more of the older stuff the older we get because people
Yeah.
restore cars that they wanted as a kid.
Yeah, we'll
You know what I'm
we'll probably
saying?
see more and more now.
So once we get like Gen X is getting into the area of having more disposable income, I wanted the 85 IROC Z, or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
So they'll go out and buy an IROC Z and restore
that's
it.
what
So
I
you'll
wanted.
see more of them. That's what every Van Halen person wanted.
Oh, yeah. So, Brad, what was the car you wanted? What was your dream car?
Let's see. I went and looked at the Mustang. It was like not even a new Mustang, and I think it was a 5-liter Mustang, but
Yeah.
it was like early '80s. And my dad was like, "Absolutely not! You'll wreck it. You'll kill
Yeah,
yourself."
Yeah.
Even though I don't even think it was a fast car at that
They,
time.
yeah, they were fast,
Like
but
not like today.
Not like today.
Yeah, I mean,
no.
190 horsepower, or 200 horsepower, which is like my truck's got twice as much as that right now.
Yeah,
but
our
then-
Highlander
so my
has
dad
like
said no.
350 horsepower Highlander.
Yeah, so
family car.
So it's like my dad said no. And but if I had my wishes, it would probably have been like I had a poster on the wall of a white Trans Am GTA with, it's kind of all body kitted up and stuff like that. But I remember, and I was like, that was like kind of a dream car for me. I mean, if I had all the money in the world, it'd probably been like a Corvette or something like that.
Did you get that poster at the book fair?
No, I didn't. It was actually probably Spencer's where I got the
Yeah.
poster at with my
Probably.
women washing car posters.
I had all my exotic car things on the wall, but it was the early 80s. Somebody at church for Christmas got me an exotic car catalog. I mean, a calendar.
Oh
for the
yeah,
year.
it has all the little
Yeah, and
little
you- and you-
Ferraris and
Yeah,
Lamborghinis on it and
Lamborghinis.
stuff.
Yeah, and I cut them out and taped them on my wall. So I think everybody our age had stuff like that, guys.
I had a couple car posters, and then I had Heather Locklear and Samantha Fox. Remember
Yeah,
her?
yeah. Oh, yeah,
she
Jan.
We've
became a
discussed
singer.
her.
Yeah, I'll
And,
tell you about that
I-
off air. About the
Yeah, I
poster.
know all about Samantha Fox.
Yeah. Oh,
Thank
yeah.
God there was no internet in the 1980s.
Yeah, oh, I've said that a million times. Yeah. Well, before we end this, we're going to do a podcast later on down the road, hopefully in the next month or two, and we're going to have you on to discuss about you and Alan bought a movie theater last year, And
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
living the dream with owning a movie theater now. So
Well, I guess you call it a dream. If your dream is not to make any money at all, that is that is a dream. But I mean, we didn't buy the theater to make money. It's just a place where our business is. It happens to be a 90-year-old theater. So loving the theater, loving like rebuilding the theater to like what it was, and like showing some different kinds of movies. So be happy to talk to you about that. But
so when you hear us in the older podcast say we're brought to you by State Cinema in Newton, that's this Brad we're talking about. So there you go.
Yep,
Go
come
back
out
and
to
listen.
Newton and see us. You can see movies for $7. So new run movies.
Yep.
So come on out.
Yep.
But yeah, I'll be glad to talk to you about it.
All right. Well, thanks, Brad.
Thank you, Brad.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So, Jan, as we've listened to all our interviews and bring it up to a closure here, we had people submit on Facebook their first cars or their favorite cars or cars they wanted. We're going to read them off here. And, Jan, I'll let you start off with your first one there.
All right. Our buddy Doug Gregg, he said, my first car expectation was a Camaro, but my first car reality was a Ford Maverick. I eventually did get the Camaro, though.
Yep. He still has
Way
it
to
in his
go, Doug.
backyard. He blew the motor in it right after he got it. So Rodney Morris, fan of the podcast, his was a 1978 Chevy Impala. He said it was a big car and it floated down the road. It also used to hesitate pretty badly when I would try to pull out of my development to go to school, and I know where that was. So yeah, which put me in some dangerous situations when the traffic was heavy. Not a cool car, but you could fit a lot of people in it, which, that was cool back in high school. So the car I wanted and still do is a Datsun 240 or 280Z. They were cheap and plentiful back then. And I wanted one of those too.
That car hesitation thing, oh, that's so humiliating.
Oh, yeah.
When my sister was driving, she's 3 years older than me. She was driving us to school one morning and in her 70 Chevelle. And we saw the bus coming and we were going to beat the bus coming down the road. Except she pulled out and our car wouldn't go. And we were just doing like 2 miles an hour. And it's a bus full of kids that we knew.
But at
it
least
was
you
so
were,
humiliating.
At least you were in front of the bus and not in the back where you could see them pointing out the window, the back window, laughing at you. I used to hate getting behind buses because the kids would be staring at you.
I just wanted to crawl under the car. It was
Yeah.
so humiliating.
Yeah. So who else you got there, Jim?
Brian Anderson said, my dream car then was a 86 Monte Carlo SS. The car I ended up with was pretty close. It was a Monte Carlo, but not the SS.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That would be like, I could see that if I would have wanted a Mustang GT and they gave me an LX V6, I would not have been as happy. They could look cool, but they weren't the same, So Brian's wife, Amanda Anderson, said her first vehicle in 1988 was a 1977 Ford F-150 with a 3 on the tree. It was silver when my dad bought it, but he repainted it in our old barn, and it was a light teal color when I got it. I don't have any notion of the car I wanted because I was just happy to get something to drive.
Same.
Yeah,
I didn't care
yeah.
what vehicle I got.
Yeah,
as long as
I
it
remember
had
you saying
tires
that.
and would crank.
So, and I'd asked her, I said, well, what car did you want? She said, honestly, I didn't care at that time. I wanted a car my parents were going to let me drive. Does that make sense? We were not halves, LOL. And that's Jan. That's just exactly how you talk.
Just happy to have a car.
Yep.
Didn't care what it looked like. Didn't care if I was made fun of.
Yep.
Just give me a car.
Yep.
I want the freedom. Cousin Nathan Ray, he says, the first car I got was a 2013 Toyota Venza LE. Can you tell he's young?
Yeah, he's young.
But my dream car then was a red 1993 Mustang Cobra R. That was before I understood what money was.
Yeah. So that's funny. That ties into this. Stacy Bartimore, the first car was a 1983 Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme, chocolate brown interior and a sparkly beige paint. Her dream car was a 1991 Mustang 5.0 convertible. It was all Vanilla Ice's fault. Remember the car in the Ice Ice Baby? Mm-hmm. That was like my buddy Brandon. That was the one he had, was a 5.0. With
You have no idea how many times I got called Jan Ice Ice Baby
Jan
in
Ice.
high school.
Yeah, there you go.
Dave Bruner says, my first car was a 1977 Mustang. Wasn't the Mustang I wanted, but at least it was a Mustang.
Yep. David Hammond's, his was he even sent me a picture of it. Was a 1980 F100. I wanted a truck, and this was my dream. Bought it, and it was a total POS from my uncle for $300, and I spent $1,000 on it to fix it up. It was in 1986. It looked good. I'm looking at the picture, and I'll even show it to Jan right now so she can see it. So, see? He fixed it up pretty nice,
Oh,
didn't
I
he?
love that.
Yeah.
I would drive that now.
Oh, yeah, I would too. Yeah. So Tracy Grindstaff. Tracy's first car was a 72 Gran Torino Sport, but the first car he wanted was a 63 Corvette Stingray, split window, dark blue. A lot of people would like to have a Corvette Stingray. So, and then my friend Chad Baker, one of my oldest friends, first car was a Pontiac Sunbird with a hatchback. Coming from not much money, I didn't have a desire for any particular car other than what we could afford. My loving parents bought me the car and made me pay them back in payments, which says a lot about different generational expectations. I beat the crap out of that car, but I had a lot of good time and memories, and it served me well. My high school girlfriends may disagree. I got one more here. Diane Silva said, I always wanted a Corvette since my uncle had one when I was 10. Never owned a car that was mine until I got married. I was 20 and I bought a used white 1973 Pontiac Grand Am with leather seats. It hauled butt big time. Loved that car. It was a great family car. We'll end it on that one, but yeah, this has been fun.
We've had a lot of fun putting this together.
This one's been, it's been a lot of fun, even though I did lose one. One of these was recorded and I lost it, and we had to re-record it. So see if anybody can ever guess which one that was. But yeah, we had a lot of fun putting this together. This one's been a labor of love getting this thing put together, hasn't it, Jen?
It has.
Yeah.
It has.
So
More so for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, thanks for listening, and we'll be back with our regular format next week, an album review. And Jen, tell them what it is.
Tom Petty, Full Moon Fever.
Yep, a good one. So thanks for listening.
Shine on.
The Pixel People Pod. Set that up inside. Rewind the future fraud. The Pixel People Pod.
哪很气。